Hi everyone, my name is Susie Q and I am the owner and maker of Glitter with Susie Q. If you like the content that you're seeing, please like, subscribe, and share. You can also connect with me by Facebook, Instagram, and email. Today we're going to be making this Hoppy Easter Peekaboo Bunny tumbler. This tumbler is really cute and really easy to make. I'm going to start with a prepped and painted tumbler. I am then going to take my Flynn Sisters Artist Cure Epoxy and I'm going to spread that along my tumbler so that I can adhere my glitter to the tumbler. This glitter reminds me a lot of spring. It's very bright, it has lots of yellow, pinks, and greens in it, and so it really reminds me of the spring and reminds me kind of the bright colors of Easter. So I'm taking my epoxy and I'm spreading it all over my cup. I want to make a thin layer of epoxy so that my glitter can adhere to the cup. I am having to use a little bit more epoxy than what I normally do, only because I made up enough epoxy in order to work on a couple of different cups at a time, and it started to cure on me a little bit, and so it's starting to become very hard to spread, and so I needed a little bit more in order for it to cover the entire tumbler. But I finished spreading on my epoxy, and I am now just pouring on this absolutely gorgeous glitter. I am just coating the whole tumbler in this glitter. I'm just using my finger in order to wipe down the edge or the top rim of the tumbler so that the glitter that's there can not stick over the edge of the top of the tumbler. I'm also using my hand to pat down the glitter so that no glitter is sticking straight up when I put on the epoxy, so less sanding has to happen later. Now I'm going to take my tumbler and I am going to wrap it in a piece of copy paper, and I'm wanting to do this in order to continue to stick down that glitter. This helps the glitter lay really flat so that you have to use less layers of epoxy. Take your tumbler and roll it in the sheet of paper and roll it back and forth, continuing to press down on the piece of paper and smash down that glitter as best you can. After the epoxy is fully cured, so I let it sit probably 4 or 5 hours, maybe even 8. I let it sit for a while, but after it was done curing, I went through and I used my Crystalac glitter glue in order to seal in my glitter. I did this so that any of the pieces of glitter that are sticking up continue to lay flat, and again, this just helps with how many layers of epoxy you need to do. I let that glitter glue dry for a minimum of 2 hours. Once that glitter glue is dry, I then put my tumbler on the tumbler turner and I put on 2 layers of epoxy. The first layer is a thicker coat of epoxy in order to cover all of that glitter, and the second layer of epoxy is a thinner one in order to get the last little pieces of glitter that might be sticking through. I then let that cure, and I then took my Cricut and I cut out this really cute picture of this little Easter bunny with all the Easter eggs around it. I am putting transfer tape on it so that I can line this up and I can attach it to my tumbler. I am using just removable vinyl. I ran out of stencil vinyl, so I just had to pick some removable vinyl. You definitely do not want to use permanent vinyl for this step because it will be nearly impossible to take the vinyl off of the tumbler after you spray paint it. So either use stencil vinyl or use removable vinyl. I am using the hinge method to apply this decal, and I am just lining it up, figuring out where exactly I want it to be, and then once I'm happy with where it is, I will then take the backing of the decal off and I will then smooth the vinyl on top of my tumbler. When you're doing this part, make sure that you go really slow. You want to make sure that all of the pieces of the decal make it onto the tumbler. That way your image comes out the way that you're expecting it to. When you're removing your transfer tape, make sure that you go really slow. That way you don't peel up any of your decal. I immediately took my tumbler outside and I spray painted it with Rust-Oleum, this green color, and then also a blue Rust-Oleum color. I did not film me spray painting because I do most of my crafting at night after it's dark, and the lighting where I spray paint is absolutely terrible, so you wouldn't have been able to see the spray paint anyways. But I went ahead and I did the bottom of the cup green, like grass, and then I did the top, probably 3/4 of the cup, with blue like the sky. I wanted it to look like the bunny is sitting in the grass. Right now I'm pointing out a little part of the tumbler where the spray paint got messed up. I don't know what happened, but I don't know if I sprayed too close to the tumbler. I don't know if that is a weird drip. Really not sure what happened, but I'll be able to show you how I fixed that later on in the tutorial. So I went ahead and I spray painted it, and then I let this sit overnight and fully dry. You do not want to start peeling your decals up until you are sure that your spray paint is dry. You will not get crisp and clean lines if you don't wait for it to dry. So after it completely dried, I go through and I am using my picker tool to peel off all of the stencil vinyl. I am moving incredibly slow. I want to make sure that as I am peeling up these decals, I am not letting my picker tool slip, and I am not going so fast that I'm pulling up parts of the spray paint that I want to stay on the cup. As you're weeding out your decal, make sure that you get all of the pieces of vinyl off, or once you put your epoxy down, they're stuck. So if you need to, make sure that you have your picture of your decal in front of you so that you know exactly where you're picking all the pieces up. Or if you have a better memory than I do, then you can just remember where all the pieces are. But I usually try to put the picture of the decal in front of me to remind myself where all of the pieces of the decal are. Oh my goodness, look at how cute this is turning out. I love it. After I get finished peeling all the decals off, I take this straight over to my tumbler and I put a layer of epoxy on top of the tumbler. I'm using, again, this Flynn Sisters Artist Cure Epoxy, and I'm just going to spread it all over the cup. My one regret with this cup is that I did not do a super thin outline of the Easter Bunny and Easter eggs. I really wish that I had done it. I think it would just make it pop a little bit more. I would have done it in black vinyl and just had the smallest little layer around the Easter Bunny. That way you can really distinguish where the glitter and spray paint is. It turned out really cute, but that would be my one regret for this cup. after my epoxy cured for at least 24 hours, I decided that the back side definitely needed something. It was just too plain, it was just too bare, and plus I needed to fix where that spray paint got messed up. So I cut out a Hoppy Easter decal on my Cricut in 3 separate colors. So I started off with the words Hoppy Easter, and then I made an offset of Hoppy Easter in the pink color. I then made another offset, and that is the green vinyl that you're seeing. So here I am weeding out the vinyl, and I am going to assemble this vinyl off of the cup right here on the mat. I always like to build my decals off the mat. I've always found it a little bit easier for me, or I think it's easier. I have never tried to actually build a decal on a cup, and I think that I'm just afraid of messing things up. So one day I am going to get the guts in order to build a decal on the cup. But today wasn't the day. I wasn't ready to take that leap, and so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how I build the decal off of the cup. You take the top layer and you put your transfer tape on the top layer. You then take the transfer tape off and attach the transfer tape and the vinyl to the middle layer. Once you have the top layer and the middle layer together, then you go to the final or the bottom layer of the decal. That way you have your transfer tape still on top, then you have your top layer, you have your middle layer, and you have your final layer, and then you can attach it all in one foul swoop onto your tumbler. While I'm finishing building this decal, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button below. Now that the decal is built, it is time to attach it to the tumbler. So my whole goal with this decal is to cover up that spot that I messed up with the spray paint. So I'm trying to get as much of that spot covered with this decal and have it as centered as possible as well. So I am going to make sure that I measure and I make sure that it is as close to center as possible between the start and back of the other decal. And then I'm also going to make sure that I place it over that bad spray painting mark. There is still a small little part that I couldn't cover up because then the decal would have been way off center, but it's okay. It still turned out to look really cute. In order to attach the decal, I'm going to use the hinge method again. I'm going to adhere one side of the decal down to the tumbler, and then I am going to peel back the backing and use that hinge in order to smooth the decal over the rest of the tumbler. Now that the decal is on the tumbler, I am going to go straight into epoxy. I did not seal this decal because I didn't think that it was going to lift, and I was right. Nothing lifted from this decal. It adhered really well, and there was no issues that I had with this decal just putting epoxy straight onto the decal. And here's the final tumbler. It turned out really cute, and I love how the glitter shines through from underneath the bunny and the Easter eggs. I'm really glad that I added the decal on the back. So number one, it covered up that spot that I wasn't happy with spray paint, and it also gave it another little piece of interest on the back side, and it wasn't just a blue and green back. I love this cup, and I can't wait to use it. If you love this cup as much as I do, go ahead and comment below about your favorite part of this cup. Thanks. See you later. Bye. You can connect with me on social media with Facebook and Instagram, and you can also send me an email. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. But now it's time for you to watch the video that's suggested for you on the screen. Have a great day. Bye.